Today I'm joined by Bas van de Goor. Bas is double Olympian, Olympic champion 1996.
Yep.
A scary list of achievements. Double MVP, most valuable player at the Olympics Games 1996 and 2000. Three-peat Champions League winner. European champion, World League winner, EuroLeague, Volleyball Hall-of-Famer, and your coach named you the Michael Jordan of Volleyball.
Wow. The last one is maybe the the most gratifying. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, the Michael Jordan of, I think he was one of the, or not the most, how do you say, inspiring athlete I could name. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with such an illustrious career, it's hard to imagine you had dark moments. But in your life as an athlete, what was your darkest moment?
Well, I had quite a lot of injuries and also some other physical setbacks which didn't have anything to do with volleyball, such as having diabetes or cerebral attack. I had a fiver, so a few setbacks. And if you're looking at the sportive way, my first year in Italy, I had some difficult periods, but at the end I ended up well with the winnings we had as a team. But as a person, as an athlete, it was quite difficult because my first year abroad, playing in a different league in a different country, with other expectations, and that was quite difficult the first year. But once we reached May and winning the championship, all was over and all was good. And then I continued playing for 7 more years in Italy, so that was great.
And what year was that?
It was in 94, 95.
Okay.
Yep.
So it was
My first year abroad, I played 5 years in the Dutch highest league. And then I made the step to Italy, which was the place to be if you wanted to be at the highest level, play at the highest level. There were some Dutch players already playing there. I was like the second generation. So Peter Blanger, Ron Zwerver, Jan Postuma, Henk Jan Held, Olaf van der Meulen, all these players played already in Italy. So I followed them and they learned me a lot about how to deal with playing in Italy.
Okay. And then how did you overcome this dark moment? What did you do?
Well, in every year there are moments that you don't play well, and that you have like a dip, and things are not going the way you like them to go. The thing I did was just put it in little pieces. So there is no big goal. We have to win the championship. That's too abstract. It's very difficult to work on that every day. You have to just cut it in pieces and then just try to achieve one piece of your ambition, of your goal. And if you just forget all the things that can happen and just work on your little goal, that makes your world quite easy. And of course, you need some trust and some energy also from your teammates and from the club, and they did. So that was how I survived.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice. And then, for example, if you look at a season, in how many sub-goals do you divide it, just to get an idea?
Well, we have 3 or 4 goals in one season, which is like the championship, the European Cup, the Italian Cup, and the Super Cup, which is at the beginning of the Super Cup was like too quick for me because that was just one game and everything is over quite soon. But the other 3 are in February, March, and May. So this is in the second half of the season. But of course, you are playing a championship, and if you're too low on the list to make the playoffs or to beat your opponent or following the expectation of the public, journals start writing stuff which I wasn't used to in the Netherlands, and I took it personally a little bit, so that made it quite difficult. And then the only thing I had to do is try to prove them wrong by playing better. And playing better means focus on what you have to do. It sounds very easy, but it's quite difficult because I cannot tell you not to think about something. I mean, it happened, and so, but with the help of my colleagues who are used to this situation, they've done this for like 5, 8, or 10 years. They helped me together with the club, and that made me come out stronger than before. Yeah.
Interesting, nice. Another dark moment I can imagine: the 2000 Olympic Games. You guys were reigning Olympic champion.
Yes.
And you lost a close match to Yugoslavia, who later became Olympic champion.
Yes.
And it seems like that was a little bit the end of a golden era for the Netherlands.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the selection to make it, the qualification to make it to the Olympics was very close. We lost. We didn't make it to the first qualification, and we lost the second. And then we had the advantage to have the third, which wasn't the case in the first time. So at the second qualification, we thought we were out. Okay. And then by getting a guest invite for the third qualification, we managed to win that. We had to go to France, play 3 teams, one of them in France. We played France 3 times in the World League months before. We didn't win a set, and then we won 3-1 in France to beat France and to go to the Olympics. As the last team, as a defending champion, you are not qualified automatically. You have to qualify for yourself. So as number 12, we qualified. And then we did quite well in the group phase, went to the quarterfinals, and we played Yugoslavia. And we lost. We played, I think, our best match of the tournament, and we lost 17-15 in the 5th set. The same numbers by which we won from Italy in the final 4 years before. Yugoslavia then went on to win 3-0 in the semifinals and 3-0 in the final. So that made it a little bit more difficult to live with, because what would happen if we would have won against? But what if? Those are very difficult words in sports. Actually, it made us even more proud of what we did in '96. But of course, it was difficult, and I think we ended quite well by winning the last 2 matches to become fifth in the Olympics, which was I think a great achievement. But still, of course, in your dreams you had other intentions. Yeah.
I remember a few years ago I used to work with the beach volleyball team, and I worked with Reinder and Richard. And I remember we spoke in one training, and he mentioned that there would have been another gold medal. Yes.
And I remember Reinder playing a really outstanding match. I mean, this was the best match I ever saw him play indoor against Yugoslavia, and he really kept the team going, was playing really well. So it's really a pity that we lost that game.
What was your best moment?
My best moment was August 4th, '96. It's about 6 o'clock in the afternoon after a thrilling Olympic final. You have to know the team lost the final in '92 in the Barcelona Olympics against Brazil. And in '93 we lost the final against Italy in the European Championships. In '94 we lost the final against Italy in the World Championships. In '95 we lost the final to Italy in the European Championships. So now we played again the final at the Olympics. And you cannot imagine what would happen if we won or we lost the final and won silver medal again. That would be really heartbreaking. I would still be feeling very bad today if that would happen. So you can imagine only what the joy we had after winning the final, and a really good thing was also coming home and see what we did a few days earlier, and how this was lived in the Netherlands. We had a lot of attention, and that was really great. So that was like the peak of my career, and I also like the highlight also is the 8 years I spent in Italy. I mean, playing at the highest level with all the best players of the world in one place, and playing well in the best teams of Italy. That was really great.
Okay. How has it shaped your life?
Well, for sure, if you're able to play with the best players in the world and win some important matches, that really boosts your confidence. Being on the top of the Olympics is really great. I mean, you can just been there, done that. And that's feeling really great. It gives you confidence for the rest of what you. People are looking different to you. Doors open, and for the future, I will always remain the Olympic champion, and that helped me by the things we do today. For example, with the foundation, the doors are going open, and that's really great. And for myself, there is like peace of mind. I did a really great thing in my life already, and everything which is extra. So that's cool. Yeah.
That's nice. How do your kids see that? I mean, I think.
Well, my kids, I have 4 kids, and my oldest is 15. He was born 1 year before I stopped playing volleyball, so neither of them ever saw me play volleyball. And the only reason they really like it is if there is like a sports event and they need good tickets. Then they ask, Dad, do you know these guys? Can you rent some tickets?
Again, doors open.
Yeah, doors are going open. No, they of course in the beginning they were looking strange when people recognized me on the streets and start talking to me. Dad, did you know this guy? No, but I think he recognized me from volleyball, and so now they know, but they never saw me play. And sometimes when there is something going on their school, like Olympic Day or volleyball or diabetes, they ask me to do a presentation or stuff. They don't play volleyball. So they do play sports, soccer and hockey, field hockey, but no, they're not into volleyball. They know what I did, but I think there is not a lot of talent wasted.
Okay, I hope they don't watch it.
well, I tell them also directly. Yeah.
Well, they would be stepping into big footsteps also.
Yes. No, of course we have. My brother is also. He also played volleyball. He was also part of the Olympic team, and that made it a special one because I don't think there are a lot of brothers winning gold medals in team sports at the same time. So my parents were really proud. Yeah.
I believe that. If you could go back in time, 10, 15, 20 years, what advice would you give younger Bas?
Well, actually, sometimes I thought about this myself, and it's quite difficult on a sportive level to give myself like different directions. The directions I made were also the choices I made. Were 99% were almost the choices I made. 98% were based on volleyball, and not on commercial or other things, which made it for me quite clean. So I didn't choose for money for contract. I chose for teams and trainers and players to see what can I do to improve my own game, and then if that goes well, money will follow. But for me, it's really important to see your career as a possibility to build on your CV, on your athlete CV. Don't look back and start all the time over again at zero. So this means if I came back to my Italian team after winning the Olympic Games, which they didn't win, but my teammates, they had like 5 Champions Leagues, 8 Scudettos, which are championships. So, and I had 1 or 2. So, and what they taught me was every championship you start with 0. if you think you're good because you won 3 championships, you will win 3 championships in your career. You will not win the 4th one. So every summer, Control-Alt-Delete, you start at 0 and you start building the team for that year. This is really important. So I think that was one really important lesson I learned in Italy. Prepare well and start at 0 every year.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really think that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What are the habits that make you a successful athlete and person?
The habits. Well, I'm not sure if it's habits or character. Actually, this morning I spoke with a coach and how I deal with things, and I think of myself as a chaotic person. But he figured out that I was quite precise at a few things. If I give something real attention, I'm really precise. And I recognize this in how I play. I think it's very important to have like a very clear plan with the dedication of the whole team to make this plan work. If not, everything like sand goes through your fingers and doesn't stick, and I think that is really important. So my habit is also to prepare well and only have one position of the pedal, which is down. There is no 80%, there is no 90%. I'd like to train 100% all the time. And you have to rely on your teammates, but also the trainer to put the car in the right direction, and you have like to gas, work hard. And if this is the only way you train, things will work out in the matches. And so there is no 50% training because there is a game and then we gear up to 6th gear and then we go. And it's 6th gear with the pedal to the metal or nothing. And that was how I wanted to train. And I think that was the only mindset to enter the field.
And then in moments when you get sidetracked, I assume there are moments when you get sidetracked. How do you make sure you focus on the goal?
Well, I was playing in the middle, the middle blocker, and I think I also played on the outside. In the middle blocker, you're in the center of the match, where as you are blocking, the ball arrives like half a meter from you on the other side, and it's really easy to lose overview. So I really needed somebody to tell me, to keep me stick to the plan, because if you don't have your plan here, then everything starts falling apart. So if I was in a zone, nobody had to tell anything. If I was really off guard, then it was difficult to coach me, to make me stick to the plan. But if I was there, you could really coach the trainers, and especially the second trainer with the data. I could really focus me to play well. So if I was struggling with the focus, do not ever try to tell me to work harder, because that's the biggest insult you can give me. Coaches who were like, "Come on, Bas, you have to go." That was absolutely a turn off for me, because that implies that you think I'm not doing my best, which is like a great insult. I needed data to be more efficient, to be more effective.
As an athlete, did you have a morning routine? How did you get ready for the day?
Well, I'm not a morning person. I hated jumping in the morning. My body was not ready. At least that's what I thought, and it was difficult. Now in the morning, and until today, in the morning I want to wake up easy, have some coffee, and start slowly. I'm not a morning person. Before every match, let's say after 5 o'clock, we also had morning training. So we just prepared. It was like 1 hour, a little bit of stretching, running, a few serve reception, and for somebody who wants some spikes. If I had to choose, in the morning I would skip it, but I was ready that we did it. I was happy that we did it as we finished. But that was the only time I saw at my career as work, the morning trainings. So there was no morning routine. Coffee.
Okay, coffee.
Coffee. Yeah.
Quite a few people say that.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for important moments?
I was really silent. So the moment we stepped into the bus, there was not a lot of talking. I had my briefing with me, and I just looked at the pages. I never entered the gym before the presentation. So of course, if you had to go through the gym to go to the dressing rooms, that's okay. But if you could go to the dressing rooms, I was in the dressing rooms and waited there. Even if we had to wait like half an hour, and there was a game before us, I did not go there, and it was just quite easy. Checking my briefing and being on myself. Yeah.
In that Olympic final in 1996, you guys were match point down.
Yeah.
You ran around and converted the smash.
Yeah.
And then you served out for the match 2 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you do in order to?
Well, it started like 2 points before for their match point, because it's not that I made 2 faults, but I could have been closing 2 times, and I didn't. So there was one spike, one attack that they kept and made a point, and it was one side out with if I did what I had to do, it would have been the end. So let's see, 13-13, I got the ball and I didn't spike it. And so 14-14, and then they made a point, a block out with me, which I just I had to keep the straight line closed, and I just tried to. I thought he was going there. I did this, and then he went block out. And then it was match point against us. The spike before was kept. So the big question was, what would the setter do, Peter Blanchet? Peter Blanchet was the guy, I think, with the most stress on his back. Because if we get a ball, we only have to hit it. Peter had to make the decision what to do. He was like making the play. And he had Olaf van der Meulen, Ron Zwerver, and me. I didn't spike the ball before, but he trusted. He gave me the ball also the second time, and it was like a 2-3 meter quick set, which I spiked all the time to the right, like straight, and this one I let it go and I spiked it straight. The fun thing is that 4 out of 6 players didn't know it was match point. So we were like, nobody knew. So then I went to serve. I served, and the guy who, well, the first was a long rally, and the second one I served to Samuel Papi, and I played with him afterwards. It's the best receiver I ever played with. During trainings, I mean, I cannot even remember one time I made it difficult for him. I'm not a great server, and he is the best receiver. And especially in this moment, I just served not to make a mistake, so it was not too difficult. I mean, it should have been easy, but once the ball was in the air, with no intention to make it difficult for him, this ball started floating and fell out of the air, and he had difficulties. So then we get the ball, and at the end there was like a rally, and Johnny hit the antenna. That were the most exciting, ecstatic seconds in my life, I think, when I saw this antenna go. Yeah, we know we did it, because you were playing for first place for 4 years, and now it went down. So that was special.
I believe that.
Yeah.